That's the way it goes out on the road. You think you know everything and you think you know how all this goes and you've got this fine without talking to me or talking to Keith or talking to Blake. You know everything? Well, then go out there and let's see what you know. And it didn't work out for most of them.
Do you think there's too many sissies in country music?
Well, I think some of these kids just got mommy and daddy's money and they put together a little story that they wish were true. Everybody's always wanted to be a cowboy. I mean, come on, that doesn't mean you get to be one. That man probably thinks I'm psychotic, because I stared at him intensely and saying, when I think about cheating, and he was probably like, what is wrong with this girl? I swear, honey, I've never met her. Never in my life.
So funny. All right, we're hanging out here with Gretchen Wilson. The Road is the show. It premieres on October 19th. Are you excited?
I am so excited. This is a little bit different, for me. I'm country music. I'm a singer and a get picker. This is a whole new thing.
Dude, this is like Hollywood.
Big time.
Like you.
13 cameras, big time. I had my own producer.
Wow.
Yes.
Last time you were in here, we were talking about The Masked Singer.
The Masked Singer.
And you were talking about how crazy that was and how they sent you out to Hollywood as a secret. This is even more big time?
This is, lots of differences. First of all, I could show my face. Right off the get-go, I got to be me. Totally different. The Masked Singer was more about the performances, and this was more about being uniquely me and giving these musicians every bit of expertise that I could muster up. I have never been involved in anything in my career quite as nerve-wracking as what these musicians had to go through on this show. And so there was a lot of expertise I could give them, but there was a lot that they were experiencing that I had to just sort of put myself in their shoes and imagine what it must feel like. I mean, this is, you're getting out there and getting the opportunity of a lifetime to perform in front of some of your idols, but it could be your last night too.
Right.
So, I mean, that is really, that's a lot to try to settle down,
Can you tell us the story again of how you got the gig, how Blake helped you out?
So from what I understand, they were actually looking into getting a real tour manager, somebody who actually does this for a living all the time, wrangling the buses and the hotel rooms and the whole 9 yards. And that's usually what is on a tour manager's shoulder. The job sucks. They get blamed for everything and everything is their responsibility. And I know this because I've been doing it long enough to know that when anything goes wrong, the first person whose ass gets chewed is the tour manager. So luckily, because of this being a production, I didn't have to do all of the logistics of that. So my tour momager job, as they ended up calling me, really was more of the hands-on in the club. I was there for rehearsals. I was there for discussions and song selections. Just talking to them, after they would do their rehearsal, I would go up to the stage and sort of critique or just compliment, depending on if I saw something that I thought they could do better, if there was a vocal stretch that I thought that they might need to reach for. Not that they couldn't do it. A lot of them were super talented, but they just had gotten very comfortable in the way that they sang things. And I'm out there with the advantage of seeing the 6 contestants that are before you. You're going to have to do more if you're going to stay in this race tonight. So I had that advantage and that kind of stuff to be able to bring to them. Okay, so no names, but if one of the artists on the road got an attitude with you, how aggressively would you knock that out of them? I did not play with games like that because on the road you don't have time for that. If somebody gets an attitude, then you've just lost my respect and you've just lost any expertise that I have for you. I'm actually not going to speak to you anymore. That's the way it goes out on the road. You think you know everything and you think you know how all this goes and you've got this fine without talking to me or talking to Keith or talking to Blake. You know everything? Well, then go out there and let's see what you know. And it didn't work out for most of them. Do you have any good memories of working with Keith in the past? So Keith has always been awesome. Every time I've ever run into him, he's been super friendly. This is definitely was getting to know Keith more than I had in the past. Blake, I feel like I've just been around. Seems like that we just crossed paths in concerts and stuff through the years. So I almost felt like I knew Blake. Keith, this was really getting to know him. man, I was really in awe of him, the professionalism and his, he's just so laser focused when it comes to the work and the job and the schedule and the way that he treated these musicians on set. He gave them, I mean, he's a super busy man, but he gave them a lot of his time. He gave them a lot of his expertise. Even when he didn't have to be there during sound checks, he was there helping me out with that sort of thing. He's a really incredible dude. I remember actually saying to him on set one day, I was like, man, just getting to know you kind of makes me want to be a better me. You know, your work ethic is incredible.
Wow. And he was real honest, but not mean, like with the contestants.
No, and I don't think any of us were. There's no place for that. I can remember harsh words coming, you know, in my direction in the beginning of my career, and I think I've just learned that you get through to people a lot more with kindness and with a smile and with love. There's 1,000,001 ways that you can say any given statement, and if you'll just take a beat and think about it just for a second before you actually open your mouth, you can find a much more constructive way. And I had to learn this, you know, the hard way.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen my arrest reports.
Yeah. It's good stuff, though.
So, you know, anything that I can do to help out a fellow musician, a fellow artist, and like I said, they're not always going to take that advice.
Right.
But it matters how you present the advice as well.
And yeah, I'm not going to drag you into the Keith tabloids, but obviously he's going through something. But when your friends get drugged through the tabloids, do you get angry? Like,
I think it's unfortunate that when you're in a career like this, that everybody just sort of seems to think that you're just wide open. You're supposed to be on display. I mean, everybody in the world has issues, right? I mean, I think the people that ask those sorts of questions might maybe want to turn the question inward and figure out how much that they would like their own personal stuff being meddled with, you know. I think it's sort of a ridiculous thing for people to want to know. I get it, you know, we're celebrities and people want to know what we're doing behind closed doors and all the stuff that's going on, but it's an uncomfortable place to be, and that's not what we do for a living. That's not why we're out there on display. And you wouldn't want me meddling and asking you about your personal life. And you know, are you married?
I am. You know? Yeah, no, that's probably good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
I'm already uncomfortable.
We're all out here doing a job, and we're all talented, and we're good at the field that we do. And you know, my hopes is that we all just continue to do that.
That's crazy because you flipped it on me, and I got one question in, and I got uncomfortable. Yeah. So I get that now. Mm-hmm. I'm married, but that's good.
Well, and if you just said no, I'd have been like, why? Why aren't you?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Are you damaged?
You see?
Divorced?
I mean, it's weird, man.
It is weird.
It's weird.
I just want to sing, man.
It's weird that people think they have that in, and it's like,
right,
there is a point where it's just, you know, it's none you.
It's none, right, none your business. Let's talk about the show. Back to the show, Brittany Kellogg.
Yeah.
I've been following her forever because she's from out west, I believe, in Portland and stuff, and I lived out there. And Gorgeous. Yeah.
Beautiful human being.
Mother of three from Arizona out there out west. You were a pretty new mom when Redneck Woman came out. I remember you told me the story about your car seat getting taken out when you got towed. Yeah. Did you share any advice with Brittany?
So there was a couple of moms out there on the show and on the road, and I could see the pain and the hurt and just the tears and one of them was actually still pumping out on the road, and so it was a lot of heartbreak for these moms, but not just the moms, the dads too. We had some fathers out there that were missing their little ones at home, and I can remember that, and I remember, you know, I was fortunate enough that I was just like, okay, I can't take it anymore. I'm just going to hire a nanny and bring her on the road, and you know, and then that lasted until I realized that my daughter didn't have any friends that weren't crew guys. And I was like, okay, my daughter's playing Mario Kart with a guy that used to be a prison guard. I think it's time for her to have friends her own size now. But so yeah, I mean, I could see all of that, and all I could tell him is you know, my daughter at this stage in her life, and it didn't feel like that when she was 12 and 13 and 14, but now she sees me and respects me as that mother who went out there and did all of the things. I didn't have to choose because I knew I was strong enough to do it all, and she sees that in me, and my goodness, she is a force to be reckoned with. There's only one person in this whole world I'm afraid of, and that is my daughter.
Dude, okay, so I should be double afraid because you're that for me.
She is maybe the strongest, smartest, most amazing human being I've ever. I mean, she's telling me how to do my taxes, and she's 25.
Oh, okay.
So she's amazing. And so I did something right there. And,
you sure did.
And at this age, so any of the moms that are out there dealing with a 14-year-old right now going, why does she hate me? I don't understand. It comes back around. And at some point they realize that you don't suck as much as they're telling you suck right now.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yes.
Cody Hibbard, great backstory on the show. Battled addiction, was in the Navy. What impressed you most about Cody?
His strength, his ability to write his life in song.
Yeah.
There was a moment, and of course I can't get way too deep into, because I was there and I experienced it. Of course I haven't seen it all yet in the way that it got edited, but I was there and experienced it. And there was a moment with him on stage that was just waterworks. I mean, I think that's the most impressive part of all of these musicians is the writing ability. It took me till I was singing for years before I even thought about being a songwriter. And I had to get here and start writing songs to figure out what I sounded like. Well, these kids all came sounding uniquely themselves. And they have that little bit of experience as singers and songwriters already to kind of have gotten above the pack just a little bit already. So it was the original songs are to die for. They will blow people's minds.
Well, okay, and to what you were saying, how you have to live life to kind of have that experience of the music,
especially in this industry.
Well, so there's a lot of people that have infiltrated country that maybe haven't, like social media influencers that get in really quick.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tee you up real quick. I want to know: does today's country miss that straight up life experience value?
Some of it does. But I think that's what's refreshing about this show is because I was one of those that was sitting around going, I don't really know what's real anymore. I don't know, if the person that I'm listening to is actually authentic. And that was one of my favorite things about country music was the authenticity.
Yeah.
You could usually tell when somebody was standing. What was that old line from the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas? Now, come on, Ed Earl. I can tell when somebody's pissing on my boots and telling me it's a rainstorm. It's kind of that thing, And I was like, that's kind of what's happening here in country music. I can't really tell anymore. But then I got out there on this TV show, and by golly, there is some very authentic, real life stories still being written, and it was really refreshing. But I think some of these kids just got mommy and daddy's money, and they put together a little story that they wish were true. Everybody's always wanted to be a cowboy. I mean, come on, that doesn't mean you get to be one. You actually have to know how to saddle up a horse. So I guess, time will tell. We'll be able to. Country music is not dumb. I mean, we're a lot of things, but we're not ignorant, and we'll be able to see through, see who's really. It's the test of time that will tell.
Do you think there's too many sissies in country music?
Well, I see that more on the male side than the female side, actually. Just it seems like more men are timid nowadays than the women are, and maybe that's just where we're at in our world. But it does seem like women are a lot more boisterous than they used to be. They're just unafraid, and they're ready to kick the doors down and make something happen. And men seem to be asking, standing around asking for permission. And that could be just because, I mean, quite honestly, I'm not afraid to say it. We've kind of squashed the male demographic as a whole anyway. I mean, if I had a son, I'd be a little bit afraid right now in today's world. So, I mean, I don't know. Speak up, be a man, flirt, do your thing.
Let's go. Do you have any favorite current country artists, with that being said?
I mean, Kojo's probably rates way up there for me. He's very authentic, true to who he is. And what's funny is we didn't start out too good. Me and Cody, we had a little show together many years ago, and he was still really well known in Texas, but not as well known as I was, and we had to share a stage, and there was a little arguments over who was going to get to use the entirety of the stage and stuff. And I can remember it wasn't he and I personally.
Oh, you guys weren't beefing; it was your people.
It was our people, and so I'm not even sure if he's aware of that. But we just played a show recently together, and I was so glad that he came out and watched my show, and I got to hang out with him and talk to him for a little while and just make sure that he didn't bring it up. So I don't think he remembers it. Thank goodness, because it was like, what ignorant stuff to be fighting over, really, you know. But when you're first coming up, you know, that little bit of stage matters. You know, things you didn't know, things that this show will actually show you, like, and that's what's going to be so cool about this show, is that you're going to see all of those little things, those little frustrations, those little nitpicky things that may not seem important to the regular viewing audience, but when you're fighting for that spot, when you're looking for that, I cannot get cut tonight, you know, everything matters.
You think Kojo's got a chance for Entertainer of the Year at the CMAs?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm also, though, having said that, I've been really proud of the ladies lately, too.
Okay, so if you had to pick, though, like Lainey Wilson or Kojo, what would you say?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot, because I'm really not, honestly, I don't know how these things get decided.
It's all right.
I mean, everybody would like to say they know how these things get decided.
No, I think,
And there's the voting, and there's this.
But if you were going to turn in your vote, like, what would you write?
I don't know that I could choose between the two of them.
Okay.
But in country music, though, that's pretty nice male and female to have at the top right there.
I agree.
I mean,
especially based off what you just told me earlier. I mean, the guy's album was named Leather, you know, like, it doesn't get more country than that.
Yeah, he is. He's the real deal. He's awesome.
Did you ever feel like you were competing with some of the other women in country music back in the day?
Always. I still am. I mean, and again, I'll say this. I think in our genre of music, we're the most friendly when it comes to the competitiveness, but we're still competitive. We're still competitors, obviously, you know. It's funny. I asked Winona that question at the ACMs, and she was like, She said, I don't feel like I ever competed with any of y'all, because I always just considered myself a duo, and I hadn't thought of it that way, you know. But I can see how she didn't really see herself as competing with, you know, the rest of the solo female artists.
Are there any of them that you don't talk to anymore?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm becoming friends with some of the people in country music that I didn't think liked me. So, yeah, I mean.
Like who?
Well,
other than
a lot of
Cody Johnson.
I think Kelsea, Ballerini, and I made friends at the ACMs. And it was, you know, afterwards. And she walked up to me with like, why don't you like me? And I was like, why don't you think I like you? You know, and it's just all this. And I don't know who's talking to who. But again, It's like the Cody thing. And it's like, who's talking to who to make you think that I don't even know you. How could I not like you? I don't know you. And then we just buddied up and sat there and had a cocktail and made friends. And so it really, the last couple of years have been super exciting for me, because I was walking around with a chip on my shoulder thinking that I was some kind of an outsider, an outcast, that I was that redneck that nobody really wanted to associate with. And now, you know, with this resurgence of everything for me, I'm walking through buildings and I'm hearing these younger female artists going, there she is. Oh my gosh, there she is. And I'm looking behind me. I'm like, there's who? You know, it just feels really awkward, but they do like me and they do appreciate me. And so it's been really eye-opening for me.
Alan Jackson just announced his last show ever.
Yeah.
We have the date and everything now. Can you share any Alan Jackson stories with us?
Yeah. Never really had the opportunity to get really close with the man. I've always respected him. I mean, he's one of those that when he comes on the radio, you just don't have to switch it. You just don't have to skip, you know. It's just one of those voices. But my story with Alan is that my first CMA Awards, I was petrified. And I just remember everything just feeling wrong. Like, I'm not supposed to be here. This wasn't meant for me. This is some kind of a mistake. All of those just feelings, very much like all of these contestants were probably feeling on their first get up on the stage. And I thought I was going to pass out. And the only thing that went through my head when I stepped up on stage was find a friendly face and lock in on it. And it was Alan. And I'm going to tell you something. For about 2 years, I thought to myself, that man probably thinks I'm psychotic, you know, because I stared at him intensely and saying, when I think about cheating, and he was probably like, what is wrong with this girl? I swear, honey, I've never met her. Never in my life.
So funny.
But he was the friendly face that I locked on. And so, you know, if you can hear me, Alan, thank you for that. I really appreciate you getting me through that very first CMA performance.
What's the wildest number you have in your phone?
I mean, The wildest phone number?
Yeah, like that we wouldn't expect.
Oh, well, like you would expect. How do you say his name? The cooking guy, Guy
Fieri.
Yeah.
You can get in touch with Guy Fieri?
I can, but I don't.
How'd you get his number? What happened?
When John opened up his restaurant, Redneck Riviera, in Las Vegas, he and I were seated at a table across from each other. Hilarious, because when I first sat down, he didn't know who I was, and he tried to have me removed.
Oh. Really?
And I told it was one of them drinking nights, and I was like, we're going to see who's who here in a minute. Spiky hair. I was like, because he's my brother, and I'm sitting right here. Well, then he was like, oh, I didn't. Yeah. So then we made friends.
He tried to have you removed, and then that's awesome.
I'll show you spiky hair.
That's great. Well, what's next for you after The Road and The Masked Singer? Like, what do you stick with TV, or what are we doing?
You know, this is a first time show. I mean, we could all sit here and say it's going to be a massive hit, and I can't wait for the next season and all of that. But I was kind of brought in at the very end, and I have no idea what's going to happen with it. You can guess, with it being a Taylor Sheridan show, that it's going to do well.
Yeah.
And of what I've seen, it's very unique. It's very different. I think people are going to be hooked instantaneously. But again, nobody knows. I would love to see this thing go on, not only just for my own career, because that would be awesome, but also because I think that this is really maybe the best way to break a new artist that I've seen. It's the best model that I've seen.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even really thought about that until this moment. But with all of the social media fame and not really knowing what you're getting there, this is something that people are going to be able to actually know this artist. And if they're lucky enough to have a career when the show is over, people are going to know they're getting the real deal and that they're getting what they're paying for. And if this were to go on season after season, I think we might get some really amazing talent out of it.
And you would obviously keep signing on?
I would love to. I mean, we'll have to see. But in the meantime, I've got a great band. We're having so much fun. We're going out there and we're killing it. I love it this year because I'm on that resurgence thing and they're putting me in that early position. And it's like, oh, there's only 12 people out there. And then we start and there's 1,200 people out there. And then third song, there's 12,000 people out there.
That's cool.
So, I mean, it's been really awesome just to watch that, people are still ready. They're still out there and they still want to hear the music. And so we're having a really good time. And I'm in it for the long haul. I'm still here for the party. Here we go.
Love it. Thank you so much for giving us time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, we got Billy Dukes here to talk about that interview we just had with Gretchen. What do you got, man?
First of all, I want to say the show, The Road, this is a really good show. It's not just a reality TV singing show. And the key to me is that it feels like a documentary. There's no host, so you don't get any of that corny host stuff.
Yeah.
After the break, stuff like that. It's just kind of it weaves in between the different performances and the biographies, and you get to see the judges interact. It feels honest and genuine. So I love it for that aspect, but I also love it because the artists, we've talked about with Gretchen, they're a little older. Most of them have lived some life, and that makes it much more relatable.
Man, they couldn't have picked a better. I agree with him. They couldn't have picked a better manager on this show than Gretchen Wilson. And just the fact, when she was in here a minute ago talking about how someone got fresh with her or something,
right?
And she freaked out and was like you no longer dude, to break that bridge there's no other person It could have been if they put Vince Gill in there, let's say, he wouldn't have gone off and said the things that Gretchen says and does. That's a perfect road manager.
I want to know who it is because that doesn't happen in episode 1. No one gives her lip in episode 1. In fact, I would say Gretchen's role in the first episode is a little subdued. You see her, but she doesn't really interact too heavily with the artists at first. So I think things like what she's talking about, getting into with these different contestants, I think that's all to come.
Okay. It's going to be so good. There are a few people that I'm afraid of, man, and Gretchen Wilson's on that list, man, but we're right up there with Miranda Lambert. So, I would love to have her as my road manager if I was an artist, on the other hand, I would not like it because, she'll just eat you alive.
Did you, she shared a few things that I thought were pretty interesting during this interview. Like she had a little beef with Cody Johnson that's since been sort of leveled out. Didn't know. Kelsea Ballerini, apparently, they didn't think they liked one another and then kind of came to and shared a drink and everything's kind of on the kosher there. But apparently she's had a few feuds or perceived feuds.
It sounds like they're on her end. Yeah, it sounds like...
a little bit. I wasn't going to say it to her with her in the room.
I mean, right? Yeah, this is all after post-show, man. But yeah, it sounds like it's all kind of on her end and maybe how she perceived people looked at her. I don't know. Or maybe those people really did have a beef with her, but are so scared when they're confronted by the beef that they're like, no, what beef? Like if I had a beef with Gretchen Wilson behind her back, I was talking trash.
Right.
And she confronted me, I mean, I would do the same thing. I'd be like, no, why would I have a beef with you? And then I'd be like, y'all scrub everything I've ever said.
You think it was just, especially with Kelsea, like a situation of like misreading her body language somewhere along the way? Like she didn't.
Yeah.
I think that was probably it, right? Like Kelsea was younger maybe and Gretchen walked by and had something on her mind and her being a younger and more mature at the time, maybe she just misread it and it festered in her mind.
I could see that.
100% I could see that.
Yeah, I could see that. But then, I don't see a world where Kelsea Ballerini would be mad or starting a beef with anybody, let alone Gretchen Wilson. I don't see that.
No, but I do see a world where she would hold on to a perceived beef and let it kind of eat at her a little bit.
Who?
Kelsea. I could see Kelsea of that drama. And I'm only saying that about her because I know other young women that age.
Yeah.
And that kind of drama kind of lives in your head a little bit longer.
Sounds like it lives in Gretchen's head too. So, you know.
She didn't forget about it.
Yeah.
We like to kind of go a little behind the scenes here with this post show. And, Gretchen is on this show, The Road, with Blake and Keith Urban. And the show is coming out like 2 weeks after Keith Urban's divorce drama news. Did you feel like you had to get a Keith question in there? Like you had to kind of touch that at all?
Yes, definitely, 100%. But I knew that it couldn't be like to her commenting on the divorce. Right. So we had to kind of beat around the bush, I would say. I didn't want to put her in that position. Although, we almost got there. We got to where we needed to be, but I feel like if I would have been like, what is your perception of Nicole Kidman? She might have either shut down or went nuts. What do you think?
I think she maybe just would have skipped over it. I don't know that she would have. I feel like she's a pro. She would never just kill an interview over a question like that.
Okay.
She'd try to sort of get by it. And maybe she would even give you a little bit like, I don't want to talk about that.
Or would she have gone full in and be like, I never thought they were right together anyway.
Like, I never had that working out.
Or would she have dropped a little pellet and been like, some of this stuff when we were taping and pre-show meetings and stuff. I don't
think she's a gossip.
Okay.
She doesn't seem like a.
I mean, back out in the holler, when you're out there in the country, people talk, man.
That's where the best gossip is.
Yeah. So I'm just saying there could be, surely, however long this show has been in production, Gretchen Wilson knows something about the Keith divorce that's not public. Surely.
All right. So a couple things. Like one, I don't think we could figure out what's the question, the fair question to ask Gretchen. There wasn't really one that she would be in a position to answer fairly. So but the other thing to your point about her not wanting to gossip is she said she wants to do this for season 2, 3, if there is one. And she's got to maintain that relationship, right, with Keith and Blake and the production team. So she's all on the up and up professional.
I think the only way we could have got something is if we asked it, and I'm probably wrong, but if we asked it in the way of how much before September 30th did you know that the divorce was coming? Hanging out with Keith so long. I still don't know if she would have answered that, but she might have been like, I seen some things, and he wasn't in a good mood. But I'm glad we didn't.
I'm glad we didn't.
Yeah.
I felt like we had a good spirit of the interview had a good soul, like that would have chipped away from the soul of the interview.
You think? Do you think Gretchen Wilson's ever like beat somebody to a pulp where they like died?
No.
You don't think she's ever killed somebody?
No, I don't think Gretchen Wilson's ever killed a man.
I feel like if I would have asked her that, her answer would be like, you don't want to find out the answer or something like that.
I think she's probably gotten into a fight with someone, but I think it's probably been a bit.
I'm just saying.
Who's she fighting at this age in her life?
No,
Neighbors?
Yeah, you're right. No. But I've been watching Ozarks lately, and I'm just saying, like, I could see, I could see Gretchen Wilson just taking care of somebody, putting them in the land, building a pool over them, and calling it a day.
Think about your life. Like, realistically, when was the last time, like, you could have had things progressed in a certain way, gotten into a fight with someone? Like, you could have you could have had a physical confrontation with someone.
Probably like 6 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, some guy like thought that, I don't know what happened, but it was like some road rage where some guy thought I did. I don't know. I think he was out of his mind, but he got out of his car and was like looking at it. I put it in reverse, but
really?
Yeah.
Just driving around town?
Yeah, it was on Memorial. I saw my wife. I was going to meet my wife and kids somewhere, and I saw them on the same road. So I pulled up trying to get next to them, and I finally got next to him, and I waved. And then, like, all of a sudden ahead of me, there's this guy that's, like, at the stoplight just pointing at me and yelling. I don't know if I cut him off while I was looking at my wife. Wow. And I don't know what happened, but this guy was ready to pounce. And I could have gotten my ass kicked, but I didn't. I just backed up.
You made a good business decision.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have been able to. This guy was a lunatic.
So I think overall here, Gretchen Wilson, she's been in enough that I think she likes us.
It's starting to get that way.
Yeah, like, I don't know if she fully trusts us, but I don't know if she fully trusts any member of the media.
You're right. Definitely 100%. You know, we've come a long way from the first time. And not that anything bad happened, but no. I mean, you know, she's definitely opened up more. But I will say that she's also gone more into the mainstream since we've met her in a backwards way. Like, you know, she's been back on the way up with the Masked Singer and then with The Road. So maybe some of her old media training is coming back. And, you know, because we interviewed her way before any of that. And like I said, she was pleasant. Nothing was wrong with her. But sometimes, you know, you can tell when artists are more open, you know.
She's got some good positive things to talk about as well, which is nice.
Yeah. Like she's into this TV vibe, and I love it.
Yeah. This is a resurgence I'm on board with.
Yeah.
So more of it, hopefully.
We got a lot of good stuff coming up on the podcast, including, can I tell them about the special surprise podcast?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so including we were interviewing Jake Owen about his new album that's coming out, and we were going to interview Colt Ford after, and Colt Ford crashed the interview with Jake Owen in a great way, and they started playing songs together and talking. They even FaceTimed another country music superstar. That's all I'll give you. But we have that coming up. That's going to be a great podcast episode. So keep it here and subscribe and like and give us all the good stuff. Taste of Country Nights on demand.